Hi guys, my name is Nonima Dikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about Khaya Ngcatshe's testimony. Okay, let's look into that on this video because I don't want to say anything. Just listen to the video and then I want to hear your views when it comes to this. Now that we've listened to the entire state case and it's done, dusted, it's dusted and done, and we are looking back and we are like, Khaya, you sounded very convincing, but now when we look back and where we are, we're like, no, ma. Mm-mm. Nah, nah. Anyway, before we do that, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment, and most importantly, please make sure you are subscribed on the channel. Please make sure you are watching the videos up until the end and you are watching the ads that are coming through. When you are doing that, you'll be supporting this channel financially and in numbers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Now, let's dive into this situation. First of all, first things, J. I've never been so confused. It's been what it was 2023 when Khaya Ngcatshe came, right? Somewhere in 2023, I'm not sure about the month, but I do know it was somewhere in 2023 when he came. Okay. One, the role confusion that I have. What exactly was Ngcatshe there to do when it comes to the evidence? What exactly was he there to do? I know the state have their own narrative, but okay, hear me out. Hear me out, hear me out. They have their own narrative. They have their own reason for their sequence of witnesses. Whatever that they did, they have their own reasons for doing the things that they did, the way that they did them. Right. Now, Ngcatshe presents himself interchangeable as a neutral observer, a background associate, a reluctant participant. Did you see the confusion right there for him also? Not just for me, perhaps for you too, when you look at things now. Okay. Now, the fatal flaw was that his own evidence collapsed roles into contradictions. It collapsed all those roles: neutral observer, background associate, a reluctant participant. His own evidence, it dealt with that. His own evidence, it brought contradictions. Okay, let's move. You cannot be uninvolved and strategically positioned with detailed post event knowledge. Something is going on there. Something is going on there. And also, we know that courts consistently reject witnesses who float roles. You are this, you are that, you are A. To suit the pressure, they see right through you. This is not some nonsense, or it is a or it is role opportunism. No, it can't be. We see Bizilla isn't as serious. Somebody died. Somebody died. Secondly, also there is something that is consistent. It's consistent when it comes to the with state witnesses. Selective memory. Oh my goodness, they have selective memory. Trust me, they have selective memory. Precision where it helps, fog where it hurts. That is what they do. Precision where it helps, fog where it hurts. They were trained perhaps for that. I don't know. Maybe they were coached. I don't know. But wow. Ngcatshe remembers um, uh, points that or details that are very important. Ne? He remembers them. Oh, that are supposed to be important. He remembers them. He remembers safe timelines, non-incriminating movements. But he forgets critical sequences, uncomfortable associations, actions that would place him closer to liability. Ukhaya Ngcatshe is one of those people that know nothing about Longwe's presence there. Guys, Ukhaya Ngcatshe knows nothing about Longwe's presence there. Absolutely nothing. I tell you. So all of that, it can't be ordinary memory decay, guys. It can't. There's something is going on there. It's either it is defense amnesia, a classic marker. We all know this. We all know this of self-protective or coached witness. We know this, guys. Like, honestly, you don't need to become a lawyer to know this. You don't need a law degree. We see, we see, we see, we see. Judicial reality. Selective clarity is treated as fabrication camouflage. And this is something Umshololo kept screaming a lot about at the time. Those early days, those early stages, those early witnesses, Umshololo was screaming. Oh, Umshololo was screaming fabrication most of the time. I'm sure you guys would remember this. And she was not shy. Umuge was not shy to say it out loudly in that courtroom. It made Judge Rata even uncomfortable at some point. It did. The third thing, timeline drift, guys. His clock does not agree with the crime. His clock does not agree with the time. His timing subtly shifts between statements, smooths gaps instead of explaining them, avoids anchoring to fix the external events. Why that matters? Why? Catch this. When a witness rounds off the time, they are usually rounding off liability exposure. Because in violent crime trials, time is the spine of the truth. Number 4, there is something else that was happening. Proximity without consequence. Too close for comfort. Nache is close enough to know key players, close enough to hear aftermath narratives, close enough to influence perception, but somehow untouched by consequences. It's like Umugai was like, okay, fine, ngizoyenza lento yena enifunayo, but mina ningangifaki la, angihlangani. Mina nje ngangisekhaya, angihlangani naye le nonsense yeni, ningangifaki sharp, then bafethu, we'll do it your way, but ningangifaki mina nje, angifuni nje into ezobuya ngami. Senzo waze wasenza, I tell you. And all of that is very dangerous, because what is this, Nasan? What is this? That is a red flag, guys. That is exactly a red flag. People near violent crimes usually fall into one of two categories. 1, traumatized witnesses, or 2, legally interested parties. Nache present as neither, a position that is statistically rare and legally suspicious. That is all I would say when it comes to Nache, when it comes to that part. Number 5, language analysis, evasion dressed as cooperation. That's something else that he did. Oh, he was excelling when it comes to that. Bravo to him. Repeated phrasing, I don't recall exactly. As far as I can remember, it could have been that was Nache when he was being asked about certain points. These are evasion buffers, not genuine uncertainty, guys. Please, they think also we are one of them or a really? Come on now. Judges are trained to spot when language is used, delay truth, soften impact, delight or do yonke nje lento isingesi sangibaleke leli gama lingibalekile, but when you don't want to take accountability or responsibility, yes, a calm tone it does not mean you are credible. He was very calm. He was. Number 6, motive shadow. Why speak at all if you can't bring exactly what we need? The prosecution never convincingly answered why Nache came forward when he did, what risk he faced, if any. They never explained these things. What protection, assurance, or expectation existed They never told us these things. Unexplained motivation creates a credibility virtue. Courts distrust witnesses whose entry into the case is as murky as their testimony, because that is exactly what the testimony of Khaya is. Point number 7, comparative damage. He doesn't stand alone, and that's worse. When Ncache's version is placed against inside the house witnesses, post-event conduct evidence, phone and movement logic, he does not corroborate the state case, he destabilizes it. Instead of reinforcement, he introduces narrative noise. And these people, they could not catch that one. They could not. And in my closing, like Ncache for me is not a reliable witness. Ncache is a liability witness, guys. And I don't think Ubaloy, for someone people are forcing us to say he's clever, he's very smart, he's intelligent, all these English names. Say, no, 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 no. Ncache is a liability witness, not weak, not confused, but dangerous. He's a very dangerous one. Dangerous because he appears calm while distorting. He sounds cooperative while evading. He also fills gaps with vagueness instead of the truth. Well, if this case goes somewhere, as Ujat Rata would say, his evidence is radioactive. A reasonable court cannot safely rely on selective memory, timeline drift, unexplained proximity, motive ambiguity. It can't. It can't. And the bottom line is, if the state leans on Khaya Ncache, they are leaning on unstable ground, and the record will show it. It will show it, because I don't understand what was Ncache's, what exactly was his business there to begin with? Someone please make it make sense. I don't know about you guys, but something is very fishy when it comes to Khaya Ncache. But time will tell. Time will tell. But I'm exposing what I thought needed to be exposed about him, because I was one of those people then who kind of was listening with intent with him. There were truths in what he was saying, but there are so many things that are very, very questionable, guys. Very, very questionable, whether we like it or not. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts when it comes to this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I will see you on our next video. Bye-bye.